Welcome to the Daphne Child Grantee Spotlight Series, where we showcase the innovative work of our grantees in combating violence against children. The Daphne Child Programme is a collaborative initiative funded by the European Union, led by Eurochild and Terre des Hommes, empowering grassroots civil society organizations across 9 European countries through a comprehensive 3-year sub-granting and capacity building program. You can learn more at daphne.childhub.org. That's daphne.childhub.org. Hi, my name is Zsófia Karetka, and today I'm speaking with Elena Jurado from Acre, the Asociación Acercando Realidades, which could be translated as Bridging Realities Association. We are discussing their project Lazos y Raíces, or Ties and Roots, which trains young women who are transitioning out of Spain's child protection system to become community leaders in preventing sexual violence. These young women, whether they are leaving residential care or foster families, they will work specifically in Seville's Polígono Norte neighborhood. Elena, thank you so much for joining us today. To start, can you tell us a bit about yourself and the work that Acre is doing?
Hi, Sofia. Thank you so much for inviting me to this space. Acercando Realidades is an organization that works in the south of Spain, in Andalusia. We have over 30 years of experience working with vulnerable children and young people. And we more recently have expanded our work to other groups of people, such as vulnerable women, young women, and also women who have suffered sexual violence. So this is one of our main areas of work at the moment. Acre has always worked from a humanistic model that is trauma-informed and gender-sensitive. And that's because we believe that caring for, educating and supporting children and young people requires, at least I would say, three main elements, which are creating secure attachments, repairing harm, and defending their dignity. And within this model is where Lazos y Raíces becomes, and enters, which is not just a prevention program, it's actually the living expression of the Acre model. And this is because Lazos and Raíces or Ties and Roots in English, is a program that works in 2 directions. It will work in 2 directions, the prevention of sexual violence against children and adolescents, but also the empowerment of young women who are aging out of care or are in the living care process. So our models really goes in line with this approach at the moment.
Your current project takes an approach of transforming young women who have experienced the care system into leaders and peer educators. And first, can you please just explain what this care system is and how are you connected to it?
Yes, thank you for asking that question, because it is actually quite an issue at the moment in Spain. Care leavers don't unfortunately have much support. So what happens when children and young people that have been in the care system, in the child protection system and in the care system or residential settings or with families at the age, particularly the ones in residential settings at the age of 18, they lack of resources from government, let's say from the public authorities to actually help them through this process. I mean, all of us, have had some references of adult references or caregivers that have accompanied us. But there is a lack of resources in Spain, and it's one of the main pillars in Acre. We do actually work, is one of our scope of works, is the support for care leavers and vulnerable youth. We Acre run 7 high-intensity residential programs focused on the social and labor market, integration of young people, and also in Seville and other provinces in Andalusia, we do actually have residential settings. We run residential settings for young people. So it's very much one of our main areas of work, because Acre's background was child protection initially for over 20 years. So it's been more in the last few years that we've been able to deliver other areas and other support.
Maybe let's give our listeners some more context about this area that you're working in, which is the Poligono Norte neighborhood of Seville. And it is described as an area with serious social exclusion, unemployment, some illiteracy rates, poor housing, and an immigrant population with their own challenges. Can you tell us more about this area, and what are the conditions that specifically increase children's vulnerability to sexual violence?
Polígono Norte is the side north of Seville, and it's a neighborhood where there is actually where multiple risk factors are building up. So there's a structural poverty, it's a council housing estate, there's high rates of school dropouts, very high rates of unemployment, and distrust on institutions as well. There's a lot of barriers as well, architectural barriers. So that means that it's more difficult to access some services for the families that live there, the young people that live there. And this is something we are seeing on a daily basis, because we're based there at the moment and we're working with the community network. And sexual violence, as I said before, is not exclusive of this context. Unfortunately, it goes across. However, violence finds a way through. There are more risks. There are more windows for violence to get through. And in this particular context as well, we're working with many young people that don't have references of adults where violence has been sometimes silenced or not even recognized. So sexual violence is not even discussed, it's not even identified. So it finds a way through.
So you mentioned earlier general mistrust towards the institutions in the area, the support system. How do you try to build trust towards these institutions and also towards your own work?
That's a very important matter, because we have experience when we started working in Polígono Norte, not that long ago, because we've worked in other areas, but there was some resistance to, and I'm a social worker, so that already can have an impact on the families when we approach families to coordinating another program, which involves working with the families, the whole family, in terms of providing a holistic support. But I presume or believe that we cannot demand trust or earn it in a day. We have been cultivating this since we started working in the Polígono Norte, with the presence, being very respectful, being coherent as well, coherent with what we are saying and doing. And in the Polígono Norte, many people have learned that asking for help can be a risk or a judgment. And this is one of the barriers at times we have to overcome. We try to work, I hope we're in that, because it's our perspective, and as from our humanistic and feminist approach, is our work is very horizontal, and it's about mutual recognition. And for me, one of the examples is this group of women that, well, by this other program that I'm coordinating, I'm kind of the leader of some training with mothers and fathers and parents or caregivers. And what it's become is that a space of connection, of where they meet, where they have that space where they can discuss what they're worried about, where we can provide some support or advice. And that trust has been built throughout time. And we've also liaised with other organizations that work in the area that know much better than us before we landed there, let's say, the dynamics, the family dynamics, the cultural dynamics. So we work as teams of professionals, not only within our organization, but with other organizations, and we meet regularly. So it's very important before we intervene or we act, it's about receiving. So it's that mutual recognition, and we rely on the neighborhood networks, as I say, with professionals, organized mothers, so this group of mothers, committed young people, and with them we wave, let's say, an informal network of care that holds more than flyers or posters. It's just, being there, being present, and recognizing as well the difficulties and the challenges and when they see we liaise with more formal institutions, that is to support. We're not there to, of course, there are child protection matters that we have to address, and we have addressed, and that's happened. But so far, we are working in a very horizontal way, I would like to think, and with that recognition from what the families are experiencing in this area as well.
The other important element in your project is the peer-to-peer approach. So you are transforming women to become leaders and to share their experiences with others. Why is this peer-to-peer approach so powerful? What's your experience with that?
Unfortunately, sexual violence is not exclusive to young people, but what we are seeing from research and from the impact as well of social media is that it is happening at a high level and a peer-to-peer context. And it is relevant, and it is for us one of our main focus, that these young women who actually have experienced care, but also possibly they have still wounds and difficulties, but don't want to repeat the violence, and they actually have reached out for others that are the main communicators for young people. We've already experienced on another project called the Stop Sugar Daddies that it's a peer-to-peer learning and reflection. It's much more impactful than if I go to a secondary school and I tell, and I just throw the speech there. And it opens spaces for connection between them, for reflection, for sharing, for mutual accompaniment. So yeah, it is working already. We have seen that.
You're working with children and young people aged 10 to 18 and mainly of Spanish and Moroccan nationality, but also from Latin America and Africa. Mm-hmm. So what is your experience with delivering prevention messages across such a diverse communities? I'm sure it has its challenges.
It has challenges, but I have to say it is so powerful and incredible because and I will say that I'm having a wonderful experience working with women from different backgrounds, different countries, and so the young children as well. Basically just facilitate a space for them to meet, to talk about what their concerns are, to share. Sometimes we bring something along, and this is the idea of this project. It's community-based. So it has many challenges. We don't just translate the material. In fact, we are not ourselves as professionals delivering the material. It's the young people. We have already delivered some training for these young women from different backgrounds that will be the mentors of this project, the leaders of this project. And they have connected straight away. They have found differences, but also their similarities, what they share, what they've lived as experiences in their lives. They are actually delivering the materials, they are the flyers, because they know better how they can reach young people, how they can engage them. And they're much more digitally attuned than I may be. And we use a participatory virtual approach We start from respecting their cultural and family codes with no judgment, and creating a safe space, as I was saying at the initial of this conversation, creating that secure space for them where actually what we discuss, we talked about how sensitive it can be, how it can open some sensitivity in what we are discussing, and about respect. And I have to say, it's been an incredible experience sharing that time with them during the training, because I didn't feel it was a training as such. It was more sharing experiences, and they actually were able to talk about their own experiences and how they think they can help and prevent these situations. So it comes from them, it comes from their own life experiences and from their different backgrounds. So we try to adapt to, not them to us. We adapt to what is needed at the time.
Is there anything that particularly surprised you personally while on this journey?
It's that we're at the very early stage with this project, but already is the motivation and how they connected. I mean, the first day that we met, for example, for this training, they connected straight away, being from different cultural backgrounds, but they have shared experience of being in the care system, and they connected, and the motivation, sometimes it was how they hadn't identified themselves, situations that they lived as violence or abuse. But in some ways, when that happened, is how they were able to express it and how they were able to find what they would think it would be supportive and helpful for someone, a young person that experiences that. So I was amazed. And the motivation they've shown is incredible. And they are actually doing it at the moment. This training is a very much a volunteering approach, and they are very much connected with it.
In terms of safeguarding, though, how do you balance the power of this storytelling and with protecting their privacy and preventing re-traumatization primarily?
That's crucial. That's so crucial in this journey, and it is fundamental. We are not working from exposure or pressure. Before being educators themselves or mentors of this program, they are receiving this support, therapeutic support. We have a team of, it's not just me, I'm one of the social workers. We're all also trained in affective neuroscience. And as I said before, it's very trauma informed, our approach. We deliver specific training to them, but also accompany them all along this process. They're never alone, and they will never be alone in interventions. And we are providing spaces where they can share without obligation. This is all the experiences they've shared have been prompted by them, and they actually express they felt safe to share these experiences. And obviously we have clear boundaries as well, and from a narrative that strengthens them, that rather than victimizes them. So we would like them to be able to intervene from a repair harm rather than an open wound. So some that they heal, that we also accompany them through this process. Yeah, and that's crucial. We have to be very sensitive and very, very careful with this, of course.
So one of your innovations in this project is establishing violet points at these events that you're organizing. Can you explain what these are and how they work in practice?
Of course. Yeah, so the violent points in ties and roots are living spaces of community presence. There will be significant days or particular days where we'll be somewhere, like in a secondary school, where we could be present and provide information and be there just to see what happens. The idea is that it's just not going to be that particularly day or that particular space, but creating trust and places where people can come and talk. So the idea is so they can come to where we are and have that information and find a space where they can ask for help or simply feel accompanied. And as I said, initially we will be in educational centers and linked with neighborhood activities, but also public events, so that they know there is a space there. There is a space for people where they can come. There's people that can support them. We want these points to be integrated in the daily life of the neighborhood, and to be part of the safe emotional and well-being of the young people and children.
So thank you for explaining about the violet points. So apart from creating these safe spaces where people can come and share about their experiences, this project will also create materials in, well, not only in Spanish, but in French and Arabic as well. I'm curious about your thoughts about the importance of translation and contextualization.
It's crucial that we are able to have at least information in the language, in the culture, in the codes, in the family codes they grow up. And as I say, our group is so diverse, a group of people and young women that we are already having contact with and engaging in this process and in this journey, that they actually speak all these languages. So they will be the ones revising that is appropriate for them, that it reaches to them, it actually is meaningful for them, because it's not just about the translation. It has to be, the message has to be meaningful for them. So we're working with them on that they find it meaningful for them when they read it in their own language. What we are working with them is also identifying what on the different lines of the projects that we have, what they're more interested in. For example, we've already discussed with one of them that is very interested in the social media and is very much more savvy in terms of using the platforms and has much more knowledge possibly than what I can even think, because this is changing so quickly, so rapidly. And there's another young person that has incredible skills as a listener, as in terms of her empathy. So they actually identifying, because this is something that we also noticed when we started, is that it's so difficult sometimes to identify the skills, and these young people sometimes have been really living through their life stories, understanding and believing, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, but actually they have incredible skills. So that's why I was saying the training is not been a training as such. So they have been actually identifying where their potential is. It's incredible. So there will be digital campaigns, there will be spaces for support and more peer-to-peer support. There'll be other spaces where we will be delivering more technical material. So they have different skills, and we are already working on that. They are actually.
So it looks like this project will actually generate a lot of knowledge and materials that could impact the community through other projects as well. So based on your experience with Acre, which elements of this model could be replicated in other marginalized communities or facing similar challenges?
We've already been in discussions with other local and regional associations to work, because it's not only children who we have contact with in terms of the residential living care settings, but also other associations that also provide this support. And what we're seeing is that these young people have incredible potential to be, and as you were saying before, become from leaving the child protection system or the care system to become the mentors, the leaders, the voices. And children's voices is there. We have to, and they are able to engage with children's voices. And I think it's a model that can be replicated in every project, really, that deals with young people.
As we are wrapping up here, for my final question, I would just like to ask you, what advice would you give to organizations working with caregivers or in multicultural communities? What would be your key advice about empowering young people to become agents of change rather than just beneficiaries?
Well, from my experience, I have to say, and my background as well is working with young people and different contexts. I think I'm the person I am as well because I've learned from them. It's incredible. It's powerful. There's so much. They have so much to tell. There's so much that obviously, unfortunately, many young people don't have the support and the references and the care that they may need because they're still becoming, and in this process of their adulthood. And that support is needed. But it's so much powerful when they are the ones that tell us what is needed, what they need, to listen to them. How do they think things could be better? What are their worries? Where are they finding? I mean, I think it's, and unfortunately, social media and the use of social media is having such an impact sometimes that in the mental health, but it's there and they're using it. So rather than, I think we have to learn how to communicate as well in this new context and create that space for them to be able to find, that personal, that we're not distance. Adults are not distance, professionals are not distance. We're there. I wouldn't understand it any other way if we don't listen to them and we don't try to understand actually how things work for them. And their brain is actually changing at that stage as well. So we have to be very conscious of that, of what is happening in their whole system as well. And the body and their brains and all the things that are changing.
Yeah, it really strikes me how the importance of listening is highlighted across all the Daphne Child projects that I have been talking to. Anyway, Elena Jurado from Acercando Realidades, thank you so much for telling us about your project that will transform care leavers into community leaders.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to share this with you. We're thrilled to be able to deliver and to work on this. Thank you so much.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Daphne Child Program's Grantee Spotlight series. You can learn more about this program and all the 48 grantee projects across 9 countries at our website daphne.childhub.org. Until next time, goodbye.